Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make, or actually over 2 days, I'm going to make Coq Au Vin, which is a French dish, chicken in wine, or red wine specifically. Very popular in France. It's popular, in fact it's popular all over the world really. And it's not a difficult dish, but as I say, my version, or the version I'm going to do, takes time because I'm going to marinate the chicken overnight just to get the wine flavour into the chicken. That should help to make it a very tasty dish. So I'll go on to the ingredients to start with, just for marinating the chicken. And for this I have 1,350 grams, which is just about 3 pounds of chicken thighs with the skin on and the bones in. You can use any part of the chicken. You can use a combination of thighs, legs, drumsticks, breast, whatever you want, but I like chicken thigh meat, so that's what I'm going to use for mine. And that actually works out for these corn-fed chicken thighs at 5 of them. I also have 750 millilitres, which is 3 cups plus 2 tablespoons of red wine. And then for the aromatics, so to speak, to give some extra flavour into the marinade, I have 1 small to medium onion, which I have chopped into about 8 pieces. I have 1 carrot, 1 stick of celery, both of those also chopped. I have 2 bay leaves, 4 sprigs of thyme, and I will use another 4 sprigs of thyme later on in the recipe. And I have 4 cloves of garlic, which I have peeled and just gently crushed with a knife, so that's opened them up a little bit. And that's all the ingredients I need for the marinade. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything into a largish bowl. So I'll put the first 5 pieces of chicken in, and then I'll put in all the vegetables and herbs, and the other 5 pieces of chicken can go in. And then I'm going to pour the wine in as well. And I'm just going to move things around a little bit to try to get everything submerged. If I can, but it doesn't matter if I can't, because during the course of marinating it, I can actually take it out of the fridge and turn it over a little bit. So with that in there like that, I'm going to cover that . And I'm simply going to put that into the fridge and leave it until tomorrow morning. I will take it out and move things around a little bit and then put them back in again. And then I'll come back tomorrow morning, and the first thing I'll do then is to go through the remaining ingredients for the dish. So it's now the next day, and my chicken has been marinating in the red wine and the vegetables overnight. So I'll now go on to the ingredients for the remainder of the dish. So I have here 200 grams, which is 7 ounces of bacon lardons. You can use pancetta, you can use streaky bacon. If you don't have, if you can't get lardons, you can just get streaky bacon and cut that into slivers, and you can use that. I have 300 grams, 10.5 ounces of mushrooms, which I have chopped into reasonably sized pieces. Some smaller ones I've left whole, and you can use button mushrooms. I'm using chestnut mushrooms, whatever you want basically. I have about 5 cloves of garlic. One of my cloves was small, so I used 2 small ones, but 5 cloves of garlic, which I have peeled and then just crushed slightly. I have 45 millilitres, 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I have about 28 grams, 3 tablespoons of plain flour, which will be used as a thickener. I have 24 pearl onions. Mine were frozen and I've let those thaw out and I've patted them dry. You can use more if you want to, you can use fewer if you want to. I have 10 millilitres, 2 teaspoons of tomato puree, 56 grams, a quarter of a cup of unsalted butter. You could use salted, but I'm using unsalted. I have 4 sprigs of fresh thyme, and I have 500 millilitres, which is 2 cups plus 4 teaspoons of chicken stock. I'm also going to use some salt and pepper for seasoning the chicken. So that's all the other ingredients, and I'll just set those to one side for a moment and show you the chicken. And what I've done is I've taken the chicken out of the marinade and I've put it on some paper towel and I've patted it dry. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to season each side of the chicken with some salt and some black pepper. And then I'll leave that as we work on the other things. So I'll turn those over and season the other side as well. So that's the chicken, and I'll set that to one side for a moment and show you the marinade. Now I've simply put that into a large pan and I'm going to bring that to a boil, and I'm going to boil it until the liquid reduces by about 50%. And once that's happened, I'm going to strain off all the vegetables and the garlic and such like, and leave myself just with the red wine and the juices which came out of the meat. And so the next thing to do is to fry off the bacon, to cook that through, and it will release the fat from the bacon, and I can use that then to fry off the chicken as well. So as I have my marinade on the heat now, and I'm simply going to brush a little bit of my olive oil over the base of my pan, and then I'm going to heat that and put the bacon in. So I put the bacon in. It doesn't matter if it's not hot, it will soon come to temperature. And that's heating up now, so I'm just going to cook that and get the the fat released. And you can cook the bacon as much as you want, basically. I don't like it very crisp, so I don't cook mine as much as some people may. And that bacon is now cooked as much as I want it to cook, and it will cook more later on as we combine everything into our pan. And so with the bacon cooked, I'm now going to brown the chicken and set that aside as well. So I've browned my chicken in 2 batches, and I'm going to just set those aside with the bacon for the time being. And then I'm going to take out most of the fat that's in the pan. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to deglaze that pan just a little bit with some of the marinade liquid. Because there's quite a bit of flavour there, and as I deglaze it, I'm going to pour that liquid back into the marinade to get those flavours. And that's good enough, so I'm going to pour that liquid back into the marinade, which is also reduced now. So I have reduced my stock by about half. So I have reduced my marinade liquid by about half, and I've got that set to one side for the time being. I've strained off the vegetables, which you can now discard, but I will actually probably keep mine and eat those, or mash them up and put them into a soup. So the next thing I'm going to do is to fry off my mushrooms and my onions. And I'll start off by putting some butter into the pan. With some of the oil. And if you need more butter and oil as you work, you can use more, it doesn't matter. The amounts I've given are roughly what you would need, but you can use more. So I'm going to cook down my mushrooms until they release their juices, and then the juices get absorbed again, and then I'm going to set those to one side. And I've cooked those quite nicely, so I'm going to take those out of the pan, and then I'm going to brown my onions as well. And I should say I have my oven preheating to 180 degrees Celsius. That's 350 Fahrenheit, and that will be ready then to take the pan I'm just going to cook these until they start to brown. And again, that's done quite nicely. They've just taken on a little bit of colour, and that's good enough. So I'm going to take those out. And then I'm going to add in the remainder of my oil, and I'm going to add in the butter, or the remainder of the butter. And I'm going to put my garlic in, and I'm just going to cook that for a minute or so. And then I'm going to add in my tomato paste, and stir that around. And then my flour can go in, and I'm going to stir that into a roux basically. And after that I'm going to add in most of my stock, but I'll do it a little bit at a time. So all the stock is in, and I'm just going to stir that so that it all gets combined into the roux. And then I'm going to put my marinade in and stir that through. And I'll drop in my thyme. And then I'm going to put in the chicken and everything else basically. So that's the chicken. I'm going to put the bacon in as well, and the juices that drained out of the chicken. Then the onions and the mushrooms. And that's everything in. I'm just going to bring that up to a simmer, and then I'm going to cover it and put it into the oven. So that's just beginning to simmer, so I'm going to cover that. I'm going to put it into the oven, and I'm going to cook it for about 30 minutes. 30 to 40 minutes. I want to test the internal temperature of the meat to make sure that it's cooked through, and then I will sort of take the lid off the casserole, and I will cook it for a further 10 minutes or so for some of the liquid to evaporate. Now you could actually take it out of the oven and remove the chicken and then cook the sauce down if you wanted to, but I'm going to try to do it in the oven. So I'll come back once I have cooked this for 40 minutes and then reduce the sauce a little bit, and I'll show you what it looks like. So I cooked my Coq Au Vin in the oven for 40 minutes. I tested the temperature with my thermometer, and it tested up at about 90 degrees Celsius, which is means that the meat is fully cooked through. So I took it out of the oven, in fact, and I put it on the top of the stove and sort of continued to cook it down just a little bit until the sauce reduced somewhat. And so this is what it looks like now, and it's ready to serve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to serve some up for my dinner, and then I will come back and show you what that looks like, and I'll have a taste of it. So I've taken most of it round to my niece and her husband for their dinner, but I've got some for myself, and I've served it with rather a lot of Jersey Royal new potatoes, which are simply the best new potatoes you can ever get. They're only available for a few weeks each year, but very, very good. So, and I sprinkled a little bit of parsley over the top of mine, and I'll have a taste of the chicken. With some mushroom. Very good indeed. So tasty. The chicken is lovely and juicy. The sauce is wonderful, wonderfully rich with the wine and the stock. I did spoon off some of the excess oil as I was reducing the sauce, but this is very, very good. So it's not a difficult recipe, but it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of organisation. But if you have everything prepared in advance, it's quite easy. And you can do the whole thing on the stove top if you want to. You don't need to put it into the oven. You can simply get to the point where I put it in the oven and leave it on the stove top and cook it on the stove top until the meat is cooked and the sauce is reduced. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.